All right, hey, what's up, guys? It's Jamie. It is December. I was gonna say August, December 19th, 2022. It's Monday. I am getting ready to get in here. I've been so sick last week, man. I was really sick, so nobody busted me in my face. I just had a couple fever blisters from being really sick. I thought I had COVID, but I took the test a couple times. It wasn't that. I felt really fatigued and tired, just like no energy. It was really tough just to get out of bed. And massive headache, a lot of coughing, congestion, no fever though. And I guess that's been going around. A lot of people have been getting whacked from this maybe flu or virus going around. It's that season. So, what I want to show you really quick, every day, usually park way back here before I walk into my building. If I'm over here, and you can see that door, see that little door? Let me see if I can get my finger in there. Yeah. I'm trying to get my finger right there, right? That little door right there. I will walk purposely out of my way instead of parking right near the door. A lot of people like to do that because I want to get the exercise. I want to make it a little bit more difficult. So the other day, besides just being sick, right, it was pouring rain, morning, afternoon, nighttime. Tons of rain here. And the amount of rain that we got, if you're not prepared, just like snow, it makes it very difficult to get around. Like if you walk out in the rain and you're not dressed properly, you are going to get drenched, right? And you might get sick or more sick. So I had a nice, good raincoat on with a hood. I had an umbrella. The only thing I didn't have on was the right shoes. Right? I just had my regular shoes on. Dress shoes that aren't the best for walking out in pouring rain. So when you do that, you got to understand, if you walk in the rain, you're going to get wet. If you're out in the snow, right, you got to have the right headgear and the gloves and boots and all that stuff. So if you are prepared, things are going to be so much easier to withstand the elements and the uncomfortable conditions that may come. And you might get a report that this is going to happen. So, when I felt sick, my family didn't discard me and say, hey, we got to get in a replacement. Dad's sick. They didn't count me out, right? Thank God. They just knew I was very ill or felt ill, and I had to kind of take medicine and recover and drink soup and sleep and take a couple hot showers and get some steam, breathe in some steam. I think it helps with congestion. And the same thing with some of these companies where if you're investing, because this is what I talk about here, if you're investing in a company and things look bleak and they're making cuts, and then whether we go into a hard recession or not, I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems that way. The probabilities are high that the first quarter or two are going to be very bad, and it might be longer. Some guys are saying it's going to last a year to 2 years. So if you know that, if I know that the rain is coming or the snow is coming, then as long as I have a hat, some gloves, maybe a change of shoes, I'm going to be okay. It may be uncomfortable. I may not like it, but I will be able to withstand the elements as long as it lasts, or hopefully as long as it lasts. So if you're investing in a company, and I'm going to say Tesla as an example, Tesla, Elon, as I do this video, posted on Twitter, do you think I should step down? Something to that regard. And at the end of the poll, he said, I will adhere to whatever this poll says. Now, he'll still own Twitter, but if he steps down as the CEO, that's going to make a lot of people feel better. I think it's a smart move myself, and I could tell you, I voted yes on that little poll. I was like, yes. And I think at the end, the result, it was at 57 or 58% said that, yes, they want him to step down. And I think he'll honor that at some point. I don't know if it'll be effective immediately. But Tesla will probably continue to go down. There was a guy I was listening to this morning. His channel is called Stocks with Josh. I believe Stocks with Josh. And I found out about Josh to stock up with Larry Jones, who I like a lot, very much. And these are, I feel like they're my peers. They're probably my age. And if I could sit down with them and have a conversation, I would love it. I would love to have, talks, conversations about investing and stocks and cryptocurrencies and options and, things like that. So Josh is a technical trader. He's a technical analyst guy. He's successful. He's good at what he does. I don't always agree with him or like everything he says, but he was talking about how the head and shoulders pattern, the setup is bearish, and 85% of the time, if you did the fact-finding statistics, it's going to break to the downside, right? So far, that has been the case with Tesla. Now, it may rebound. He gave a prediction of 167 to 180 before it kind of continued down, and he thinks it's going to go around 125 or less. And then he said he would start buying under 100 if it got there. And I was like, wow, under 100. And there's a guy named Gordon Johnson who is not really popular, but he said that he thought his call for the stock price was $23, $24 a share. And Josh said that he thinks the proper valuation is $25 a share, and he gives his reasons why. And you can do all that due diligence yourself. But he said that it's overvalued by the shares that are available and the PE ratio and what the company's worth. We're also where it's going and what happens. He says right now that's really what it's worth. But people are willing to pay more for the shares. So imagine owning those shares of whatever company it is. In this case, we're using Tesla as an example. And you own it for $180 a share, $250 a share, $300 a share. Who knows, right? And you're not dollar cost averaging. You're actually just watching your investment continue to drop. And that's a massive drop. We're talking, if you bought it from its all-time highs, it's a 60% drop. If it was to go to $25 or under $100, that would be a huge hit to your portfolio, right? If Tesla was the only stock you owned, some people that is the only stock that they own, or if it was a larger share of your stocks. Now in my Robinhood account, I just trade it, and I like the volatility, but I got to be aware. It's like walking on ice. Where there might be a lot of fish under the ice, but you got to be careful. If the weather's getting hotter, you don't want to be on that ice because you're going to fall through and you could get hurt or drown or wet, right? And though I feel like, for me, I am at a place where I'm aware of the risks and all the risks that come in, whether you're just trading with your own money or margin, if you're using margin, which I don't recommend, then though you can do pretty well selling covered calls or puts, and though you could do well flipping shares, there's also the risk that just like it could shoot up, it can also shoot down pretty dramatically. And if that happens, people get liquidated. If they have stop losses, they get pushed out of their positions. It triggers their stop losses, which I personally don't use. Not because you shouldn't. It's just that I find that whatever stop losses I put in, they always seem to get hunted, and they get pushed, they get triggered. So for me, I usually just trade with an amount that I'm willing for it to go down to or go up to. And if it does go there, I have the mindset that it will go the opposite way at some point. But it could take weeks, it could take months, and it could even take longer than that. And that is all I wanted to point out, is that if you're hungry, they say that if you were to fast, meaning not have any food, there's been cases where people have fasted. There was one guy, he fasted for a year almost, right? I don't know his name right now, but and you're like, what? All he had was water? That's all he did? Yeah, all he drank was water. Now, granted, he was really heavy when he started. So from when he started to when he ended, his body burned all that stored, energy, body fat over those months and months that he was not eating food. So that's stored energy. And certainly you shouldn't do that. But we are able to, as long as we're set up, and I'm not getting into a physical thing here, but just like bears that hibernate, they gorge themselves, right? They basically, their bodies live off of the stored energy. That's why they're bigger. They get beefed up. So if you are going to go through a season where of scarcity, then you may have some income stored up or some debt that you reduced to make sure that you're able to get through that season where it's going to be more difficult, versus the abundance where everything's like, hey, we're in a bull market, or hey, the economy's doing fantastic, or hey, the sun is out, and that type of thing. Like, there's these seasons where it gets really difficult and it gets really scary. And if we're not prepared for that, it's going to make it, so much harder. And what I encourage my friends or younger people, or if I was talking to my son, my oldest son, and I was just to say, hey, my encouragement to you is don't just keep accumulating stuff because you think you can afford it and you don't have other liabilities. Put some money away, not because savings is going to give you a great return, but at least start there and know what you're spending. And then as you're doing all these investments where people are like, oh, there will be some real opportunities. And, I'm at 11 minutes, so right now, my wife and I were talking about relocating. And, traditionally, I would buy a property, live there for a few years, rent it out, and just keep repeating that, right? And the sooner you do that, the better. And more, it's better if you have more than just a single family. If you have a multifamily or duplex or townhouse or something like that, or meaning like there's more than one unit that you can rent out, and then people are paying your rent or your mortgage, and then you have cash flowing asset. So regardless of the economy of what's happening, people are still going to live somewhere, just like they're going to go to the supermarket and buy food. So she wants to move to a different town, Lexington, to be exact, Lexington, Massachusetts, because the school system is really good there. And our daughters, not my sons, have been going to a private school for their whole lives. And I'm not saying that like, my daughter's going to a private school. That is not what I mean. This is just something because of she wanted them to go to a Christian school, a Catholic school, because they haven't taken religion out, right? They kind of focus on that and prayer, and they bring God, Jesus into the school, which is just a matter of faith, as well as the education. Now, I've seen a big change. So now she's like, maybe we should just go to a good school and have the girls go there. So we would save some money on the tuition, but the cost of living is much higher in some of these towns because of that school system. People want to live there. I think that's one of the reasons, and I'm not an authority on that. But now is not the best time to go get a primary residence in a town or a city that is still not as affected by the market, at least right now. In 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, that may change. And plus the rates are higher. So unless you're going to pay cash for a property or put a pretty substantial amount down, then you got to understand you're going to get higher rates, which is going to reduce the amount that we buy, is what I was telling. This is just a conversation. So, you got to weigh out these different things and trying to say, what's the best strategy if this is where I want to go, if this is the destination I want to travel. And back to the last thing where I said, I have to get to this door. In this case, there's other doors. I can go to other doors. I could go to that door over there. I could go around the building there on the side, and there's a door on the other side. But this is the door that I'm going to go in, right? So I have to plan my path, right? And, to get there. What I've kind of set up for myself and what I need to do to achieve that goal, and that, so to speak. This is just a walk, right, from where I park to where I go. But again, if it was raining out, or ice ball hail was coming down, then obviously it would be very difficult to do, not being prepared. So that's my thought of the day, going into the week here, going into Christmas, as Christmas, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. As that holiday approaches, my mindset is I don't know what the market's going to bring wrapping up this week. I don't know what's going to happen with companies like Tesla, but I certainly want to be prepared for the worst. And I encourage you to do the same. This isn't doom and gloom. It's just, what is this? There's a saying that goes, if you failed, oh my gosh, hold on a second. That's right. I think if you failed to plan, you're planning to fail. It took me a second to get the right vernacular there. But If you fail to plan, if you have no plan at all, you're planning to fail, right? Because you're just Wild West gunslinging, and it may not work out. It may not work out so well. So, definitely have a plan. All right. Having a plan you can change is okay, but having no plan at all is not a good strategy. All right, guys. I'll see you next video. Have a good Monday.